Thanks for stopping by to check out another fun-filled, action-packed episode of Vintage Audio Review. In this episode, I wanted to look at two of the items I purchased from the Audio Hoarder's estate sale 2 episodes ago. The first item was this Infinity 8-inch 50-watt subwoofer whose woofer had the surround foam all deteriorated and was missing one of its legs. Before I show you how it looks now, I just meant to point out the amplifier plate for it, which I did not show last time. It has the on-off switch, of course. It has your high-level inputs where you would connect directly from your speaker if you so desired. There are people who believe you get more of the actual signal going to your subwoofer, or traditionally most people like using the line level inputs. They're much easier to deal with. This also has a volume control for the subwoofer and a variable crossover frequency for it. The one thing that it does not have that you often see on subwoofers is a phase polarity inverter, but it's not the end of the world. It also has it's a ported design, and the port's right here. And we'll go over to the bottom, and you can see that the surround is all nice and attached, and it works very, very well. And I made a new foot from some doweling and glued it on and put some rubber feet on the ends of all the feet, and it works rather well. The surround I got from my good buddy Ian, and so I have about 2 hours of labor and $5 invested in this, and it works rather well, although I don't really know where I'm going to use it yet, but someday I'm sure I will use it. So the other item that I wanted to talk about, which I got from the Audio Hoarder's estate sale, was this Pioneer CT-F950 dual capstan 3-head cassette deck. In 1979 and 80, it sold for about $600 or $2,300 in today's money. It's one of those things that I just wanted to have if I came across one at a good price. I've already got 2 dual cassette decks as well as a single Nakamichi BX150 cassette deck as well. And I don't listen to cassettes a ton, but I do have a bunch from when I made them in the 70s and early 80s. And what's surprising is they sound pretty good. On occasion, one is frozen up, I find, but for the most part, they all play and sound okay. When you last saw this deck, it would start to play a tape and stop. I don't remember if I checked the rewind and fast forward, but if it did, it wasn't very fast. Anyway, it spoke, "I need a belt kit." My friend Ian was able to help me out with 3 of the belts. The 4th belt I got at a local electronics parts store here in Tucson, Elliott Electronics, and the idler tire I ordered online. I watched several videos on YouTube about disassembling this particular deck, and they do a pretty good job, but they don't cover every single thing that you need to know. However, I was able to get it apart and back together again without any problems, and when I pressed play, it played. I got it down real low just so I could talk over it, but I've been listening to it for a couple days now, and I really enjoy just how it functions, how it looks, and how it sounds. It only has Dolby B noise reduction on it. They had Dolby C later on. So after I put in a tape and it seemed to work, all the functions would work, I decided that before I get into it too far, I wanted to see how well the speed was tracking. And I installed a test tape that I have, which has a 440 hertz tone as well as a 3.150 kilohertz tone. What I found was that the deck was off a little bit in speed. It was a little fast. It was reading 348 hertz versus 340 hertz. That's not too bad, but when you got up to the 3150 hertz, it was reading a little over 3200. So I got a little screwdriver and did the caps and motor adjustment. I'll swing this around. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a small little adjustment on this motor that's through some little a seal of foam that you could put a little screwdriver through and adjust very sensitively the speed of this motor. So I tweaked it in so it's pretty close to what it should be. And other than that, I only performed an adjustment for the level of the meter for the playback. I made some recording of tones and played them back, and they looked okay. And then I recorded some CD quality music, and it did a really good job of recording. I'm very happy with it. I'm not sure that I would ever do any recordings on cassettes, because that doesn't really make sense unless I just wanted to show somebody that it records, or maybe somebody needed a recording for a cassette deck and their antique car that they want. I don't know. But I don't really see much recording being done by me on this deck, but it could do it if I wanted. There are a lot of adjustments to do to set it up for that, and I'm not going to do those because I'm not going to use it that much for recording, and it seems to work well enough for my needs. It has some neat features as far as this little counter. You obviously can reset it, and it has some functions where it can stop when you rewind or fast forward and it goes to 0. That's pretty common, but it has a play position. So if I were to hit rewind, it'll go to the 0 and then it'll start playing, which is something new for cassette decks that I've owned. It also has a peak level indicator. Let's see if I can. A peak hold, and you can see the little bars hold at the highest peak. So you would use the peak hold if you're recording a CD or a record. You would adjust your level here so that peak was hopefully not a lot more than +3, and you could play the whole track on the record and see what the loudest peak is, and you could adjust your record level. It also goes to average if you want. It has Dolby in and out, and it has a microphone input, so you could record with the microphone. It has your different selection of tapes, your standard tapes, including metal, which was a big deal then. And you have your output level here. And it has a bias feature, so you can adjust the bias that you're using to record with to get an optimum sound. You'd have to be kind of knowing what you're doing a little bit with that, but because it's a 3-head deck, you can listen to the recording right after it's made, and so you could tweak that to see if it has the right sound that you want. So that's pretty cool. So all in all, this is going to be a nice little piece that I will add to one of my stereo systems, and it should give me a lot of pleasure. So yeah. I'm going to put the cover back on it and set it up in its new little home, hooked up to one of my other stereo systems that has a dual cassette in it, but I'm going to put this one in too because I don't have any other place for it other than that, and I think it's going to look real nice in my man cave. That is the Pioneer CT-F950, and I'm really happy I got it. I think I came out really good on this deal as far as how much time I have invested in it, what a deck like this would be worth. They did make a one model more, which was this CT-F950. That was maybe another $100 that has some extra settings for adjusting the biases for different tapes a little bit more. But this was one of their top of the line decks. And from what I understand, it's somewhat sought after. I'm going to enjoy having it in my collection. Once again, I thank you for watching. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. Also, please have a nice day or night.